Joining me now, the former Reagan White House political director and Great America PAC strategist, Ed Rollins, and co-host of The Five on Fox News Channel, Juan Williams. Good to see you, gentlemen. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
And this was, I think, a seminal moment in the campaign where we saw Donald Trump in what has to be called a presidential moment. He was on equal terms with a president of a country. President of Mexico.
I think it was probably one of the most important days he's had in this campaign, and obviously it's certainly the most important day since he got the nomination. And I think he has now a referral point that he can go back, and no matter what he does on the speech tonight or what have you, he can talk about, when I was meeting with the president of Mexico, here's what we talked about. These are the 5 issues. I know I could sit down and negotiate with these people. It may have helped his confidence, too, and I think to a certain extent the American public saw him in a different light. The speech tonight is almost an afterthought, but it's...
Well, Juan, Hillary Clinton's biggest hit against Donald Trump, and she was having a lot of mileage from this hit, was that this is a dangerous guy who doesn't know how to deal with either our allies or our adversaries. Here he was dealing with a foreign leader who he has taken shots of, the foreign leader's taken shots of, in a very friendly environment, talking about cooperation. This seems to pull a major hit against Trump that Hillary had used.
Well, I think for people who were concerned that someone would throw a shoe at him or someone would throw an egg or there would be a shouting match, Donald Trump crossed the low bar.
But he crossed it.
But he crossed it, and I think that President Peña Nieto did a good job of being very much a good host. I don't know that he agreed to pay for any wall, for example. I don't think we got to that.
Actually, there's a little disagreement about that. During the actual press conference itself, Donald Trump said we didn't talk about who's going to pay for the wall. Later on, the president of Mexico said, according to the Associated Press anyway, that in fact they did talk about it, and the Mexicans said they wouldn't pay for it. But go ahead.
Well, I mean, but the point was this didn't get brought up. And to Trump's credit, he took questions, dealt with the Mexican press corps in a way that I thought was quite effective. Now, the downside of this is, of course, for all that he had success with today, he's got to give a speech tonight to explain all of the flip-flops and cartwheels he's been doing on immigration policy.
Well, Ed, there are people, we've heard from some Trump supporters who said that they're disappointed that he's pulled back from his call to deport all 11 million illegal aliens. Everything is he got to make amends with that crowd among the Republicans?
No, the bottom line is obviously he's going to be more effective than Clinton would be if she was the president. The wall was symbolic. The wall was, we're going to secure our border. He's still advocating
who will pay for the wall.
Well, at the end of the day, we're going to get the wall built or some sort of a form of securing our border. We're going to get criminals out of the country, which is what I think most people care about. The vast majority of Americans who know carpenters and gardeners and nannies and restaurant people who are here not legally, they don't want them thrown out of the country. And I think our poll tonight shows that. I think the key thing is how do you secure the border? How do you make sure the criminal element is here? And one of that things that he's not talked about and no one else has, we need to basically shut down the sanctuary cities, which we now have 300 of them.
Well, Juan, your friend Bill O'Reilly's always been telling Donald Trump, you can't possibly deport 11 million. You can't round up 11 million people, deport them. It wouldn't be feasible and it wouldn't be legal. They'd have legal recourse, et cetera. Maybe after hearing that message so many times, he got the message. What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with it. The question is, how does he package it tonight? Given that your concern, as you talked about, whether or not you have the hardliners who think, you know what I know Donald Trump for? Build a wall. Throw these folks out. Mass deportation, a deportation force in this country to go in and root them out. People are going to say, well, gee, we like that if they like that.
Yeah, but I talked to Katrina Pearson a couple of days ago. She already is on board saying, no, it's impossible to deport 11 million
Well,
people.
I would agree, but I'm just saying that's what Donald Trump had to say. So the question becomes, and we saw it in the papers this morning, folks who were saying, hey, this looks like Barack Obama's policy. Go after the criminals. Or what about Jeb Bush?
Yeah,
what about Marco Rubio?
I don't know if he actually went out. There's so many criminals that apparently, according to Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani, who will be his enforcer, they wouldn't be able to carry on the illegal activities that they have been. But I got to ask finally, is he going to use anything from what he did today in his speech tonight?
Oh, absolutely. He'd miss a terrible opportunity if he didn't say, in my meetings today with the president of Mexico, here are some of the things we talked about, the common things, the 5 positions we had. They have a crime on their border. They have a problem with illegal immigration. We talked about common goals, getting people back to work, keeping the resources in the hemisphere. I thought it was a good speech and a good first step of acting like a world leader.
Together, we will solve these problems. Both Trump and the president of Mexico said that. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Ed Rollins and Juan Williams.